Hey, welcome back to Livin MN Outdoors. I'm Daniel, and thanks for tuning in to another fishing report. Before we dive into this week's report, just want to wish you guys a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year's. Hope you guys had a great time with family over the holidays and maybe even got out and did some fishing. Like usual, guys, if you do use any of the guides or resorts mentioned in today's report, please let them know you saw them on Livin MN Outdoors. And with that being said, let's dive into this week's fishing report. All right, this week we're going to start on Mille Lacs Lake. We're going to start out at Castles Resort in Isle Bay. They have phenomenal ice out there right now. They are looking at 18 plus inches of ice. They do not have any vehicle or wheelhouse combo restrictions. So if you got a 1 ton and a 30 footer, you are good to go at least out to barrel number 8. And as they check ice throughout the rest of this week, they are looking at extending that zone out even further into the lake. So stay tuned to our Facebook page and we will update you if they change the areas they're allowing those houses. Now, as far as the walleye bite goes out there on Isle Bay, the walleye bite has been pretty good out there. There is a very sneaky, shallow walleye bite going on right now. That 5 to 10 feet of water on the weed lines. Low light periods are best for that bite, but small sucker minnows or a jigging spoon tipped with a fathead or a rainbow is working very well on those shallow weed lines. Now, other areas you can find them, that 14 to 20 feet of water on the top or bottom edges of those break lines are working very well. Like before, a small sucker minnow or a golden shiner on a plain red hook is working best. But make sure you are jigging a fairly flashy spoon, pink and white, hammered gold perch pattern. That does seem to be drawing those fish in, and then more than likely they will eat your dead stick. When you are jigging those spoons, make sure you're dropping that onto the bottom. Pound that in the sand, mud, on the rocks, whatever it might be. Stir up a little cloud on the bottom. That really draws the fish in, and then you're more than likely going to get those fish to eat. Now, as far as the perch bite goes, perch in that 12 to 20 feet of water. There are a million of little ones out there, but a lot of really nice perch. Those 11 to 13 inch perch are starting to show up, and guys are even bringing in limits of those bigger perch. Now, best ways to catch those perch, a jigging spoon, either a 1/8 or smaller jigging spoon tipped with a minnow head, or you can use some smaller tungsten jigs with larvae or waxworms, and you can tip those jigging spoons with waxworms as well and get those perch to bite. Now, I would recommend using a little bit bigger minnow head just to weed out some of them smaller perch. Some days it doesn't matter, they'll still hit them, but it does help weed out some of them perch at times. Now, as far as the northern pike bite goes, 6 to 12 feet of water in Isle Bay. They are absolutely hammering some giant pike out there. Whether you want to go tip up fishing, you want to go spear some, they do have spear houses available, but that 6 to 12 feet of water, put that sucker minnow or smelt a couple feet off bottom, and you're more than likely going to tag into some really nice pike out on Isle Bay. Now, Castles Resort, they do have cabins, sleeper houses, day houses, spear houses available. Now, Castles Resort does have cabins, sleeper houses, day houses, spear houses, all available this coming weekend and throughout the rest of the winter. So if you're looking to get up to Mille Lacs Lake out of the Isle Bay area, go ahead and call Jeff or Kimberly from Castles Resort. Now, as far as the north end of Mille Lacs Lake goes, last I heard they were looking at roughly 12 to 13 inches of ice up there. I did hear of a few incidences that happened this past week, so not real sure on what the traffic is going to be allowed out this weekend. It was looking like half-ton and single-axle wheelhouses, but with the trouble they've been having, I'm not sure if they are going to move ahead with that. So check in with any of the resorts up there on the north end before pulling your wheelhouse up there. Now, over on the west side of the lake, the bite has been fairly good, especially if you can sneak out to some of those deeper flats, those mud flats, anywhere from that 24 to 32 feet of water. Like usual, guys, the dead sticks are outperforming the jigging rods, but they are picking up some nice fish on big jigging spoons tipped with minnows as well. As far as vehicle restrictions over on the west side, I know they are starting to let out some limited vehicle and wheelhouses, but as far as ATV, snowmobile, side-by-sides, you basically can travel out to even some of them furthest mud flats now and get on some of those real gems of walleye spots out there. So if you guys are looking to get up to Mille Lacs Lake, like I always encourage, definitely call the resort you are going to be going out of. Make sure that your rig is suitable to go out of their landing. Otherwise, you might get up there and could be disappointed. All right, now moving over to Lake Winnie, the Pines Resort on Tamarack Bay. They currently have 15 to 18 inches of ice. Their vehicle restrictions for this weekend is going to be 1 tons pulling up to 24-foot tandem axle wheelhouses. If you got a 3/4 ton, you're good to go with any house. Half ton, good to go with any house. But if you got a 1 ton, they're going to limit it to 24-foot wheelhouses this weekend. As far as the bite goes, the walleye bite has been on fire up on Lake Winnie. A lot of the houses having 20, 30, 40 fish days. As far as where to find those walleyes, there are 3 key areas to be looking. The sand to weed transitions in that 9 to 11 feet of water has been very good. The sand flats on the top edge in 14 to 16 feet of water has been really good. And then those shallower humps, that 14 to 19 feet of water on the top or bottom edges of those humps have been good as well. Now, the best ways to catch those walleyes, a plain white hook or a small white jig is outperforming everything else. Tip those with a rainbow or a shiner, and you're going to catch some walleyes out on Lake Winnie right now. Now, at times, jigging spoons will work, but over the last several days, the fish have really been shy to those jigging spoons, even getting spooked at times. So if you are finding that fish are coming in, you're jigging, and they are leaving, you might want to put that jigging rod down and put down an extra set line. Now, as far as the perch bite goes, there are 2 areas that they're still catching the perch. Once again, that 8 to 11 feet of water on the sand to weed transitions has been very good. And then out on those sand flats on the top edge in 14 to 16 feet of water is producing a ton of really big perch right now. Now, best ways to catch those perch: small jigging spoons tipped with a minnow head or a small tungsten with a waxworm. And like the walleyes, set lines with plain white hooks or white jigs tipped with a fat head or a smaller rainbow is producing a lot of really nice perch. Now, as far as the panfish bite goes, a lot of really nice bluegills and crappies are showing up. 6 to 9 feet of water on those weed edges and up in those weed pockets. Small tungsten jigs with waxworms or euro larvae is producing the most fish for the panfish. Now, as far as the pike go, there are pike absolutely everywhere. Small ones, medium-sized ones, big ones. Doesn't really matter what you put down, from a small tungsten jig up to a 10-inch sucker minnow. They're eating it all. So if you want to get out and catch a ton of pike, go check out the Pines Resort on Tamarack Bay. Now, the Pines Resort, they do have cabins available, day houses, spear houses. They got a full barn restaurant, live bait, propane, whatever you could ask for. Chad can help accommodate you there at the Pines Resort. So if you're looking to get up to Lake Winnie on Tamarack Bay, go ahead and call Chad from the Pines Resort. Now, if you guys are looking for a sleeper house out on Lake Winnie, Scott from zupsguideservice, he does have his ice castles out on the lake now. They have been catching a ton of fish. He does have some weekend availability still and midweek availability. I will leave a graphic down here showing what weekends are available still. So if you're looking to get in on some awesome walleye, perch, eel pout action, go ahead and call Scott from zupsguideservice. All right, now moving over to Leech Lake, starting on Traders Bay at Acorn Hill Resort. They are currently sitting on 14 to 16 inches of good ice. For one more week, they are going to keep their vehicle restrictions to half tons and single axle wheelhouses. They are working on crossing one of their heaves / cracks out there right now. And once they open up more area, I believe they are going to loosen up the vehicle restrictions on Traders Bay. Now, as far as the walleye bite goes out there, Greg's brake line, the top edge there in 14 to 17 feet of water has been producing the most walleyes. It is primarily a after dark or those first couple hours in the morning bite. They are picking up a few over at Tim's Hole as well, but the more consistent walleye bite is definitely out at Greg's brake line. Now, the best way to catch those is dead sticks with rainbow shiners or small sucker minnows on plain red hooks, or Wonder Bread jigs are working well also. As far as the perch bite goes, similar depths to the walleye, that 14 to 17 feet of water. The bite has been very steady up there. Mornings tend to be a little bit better than evenings, and best ways to catch those are on plain red hooks or small pink and white Lindy Frosties with a fat head or a rainbow. And then you can also get them on smaller jigging spoons tipped with a minnow head or waxworms. Now, as far as the pike bite goes out there, similar areas. Most people are fishing that 14 to 17 feet of water. I'm sure if you moved in shallower on some of the weed lines, you would get pike as well. But those pike are eating just about everything you put down out there. If you want a chance at a little bit bigger pike, put down some bigger minnows. But there are plenty of pike to be had out on Traders Bay. Now, as far as the eel pout bite goes, very hard to predict that bite, especially on the structure that is being fished most right now. Some guys are picking up a few here and there. If you do want to specifically target them, you need to fish close to bottom. Big glow spoon with a minnow. Pound that in the mud during the dark periods. And then if you want them on a set line, also dark periods, put on 1, 2, 3 fat heads on a big glow jig and set that real close to the bottom, and you might catch some eel pout out on Traders Bay. Now, Acorn Hill Resort does have cabins available, sleeper houses, day houses, guided perch trips. They have those available this coming weekend and throughout the rest of the season. So if you want to get up to Leech Lake out of the Traders Bay area, go ahead and call Kyle from Acorn Hill Resort. All right, moving over to Horseshoe Bay Lodge. I talked to Cam in Austin, and they are dealing with some real difficulties over there. They are trying to get out beyond a massive crack that formed in front of the resort. They're working on getting a big bridge built, and hopefully, fingers crossed, they will be able to open this coming weekend. As of right now, I can't guarantee that, so I will update you as I get more information. But they are kind of sitting on that similar ice, that 13 to 16 inches of ice out there. So if they can get that bridge in place and they feel that crack is safe, hopefully they'll be able to open this weekend to some minimal truck and wheelhouse traffic. Now, Horseshoe Bay Lodge, they do have hotel rooms available. They have large group housing. full bar and restaurant. They really could use some business. So if you guys are up in the area and want to grab something to eat, stop in at Iron Fire Bar and Grill, get some food and drinks, and have yourself a blast up at Leech Lake. All right, guys, well, that's going to do it for this week's fishing report. We really appreciate everybody who has sent in photos over this past week. We will feature you guys in our fishing reports if you send us photos. You can send them to us on Facebook or to our Gmail account. If you guys make it out fishing, just remember, be respectful of other fishermen, don't crowd your neighbor, and most importantly, don't forget to get on out there and get living.